Hey everybody, Aaron here, and welcome back to another anime review. Today, we're looking at Persona 3, the first movie, Spring of Birth. Now, I will say things really fast. I've had to do this review multiple times, so I'm trying to figure out ways to kind of reducing the length of this. Number one, I will try to upload these every so often because this is one of four movies that came out. So I will try to get them up within a week of each other, maybe like 8 or 9 days apart from one another. But they will be up in a relatively short amount of time. It's not like you have to wait with like my Broken Blade review, which I had to redo completely because I actually didn't review the whole thing like I said I originally would. But I will try to get these out within a good amount of time apart from each other. Second off, also I'm not re-reviewing them, but I'm re-watching them so I could review them. So this way you guys get a little bit more of a kind of current take on it because these came out in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016 respectively, all a year apart from one another. And it's since I've seen a whole bunch of things, I wanted to kind of get fresh takes on them, so I had to rewatch them. So that's why it's gonna take about a week before I get all these things out every single week. I'll try to get them up. Anyways, now I be honest with you guys and girls, I do not know what company did the animation for this. I think it was AIC Asta, which is the production company that did it, but I don't know the actual studio that took like helm of it. So I apologize in advance for that. But I'll tell you right now, Persona 3, the first movie, Birth of Spring, is phenomenal. It really is. It's awesome. And this is not just from someone who's I am a diehard Persona fan. Like I love Persona 3, Persona 4, Persona 1 and 2 also. I played all the Shin Megami Tensei games essentially that I could get a hold of in my lifetime. I own a lot of art books for Persona and games in general. I will say that I like Persona 3 more, so I am a little biased when it comes to this. But I will tell you that I will try to, as usual, stay as unbiased as I can in this review for this. Now, honestly, my biggest complaint, I'm gonna start right off the main bat, right off the beginning point of this, if that made any sense whatsoever, which I don't think it did, but is the main protagonist. So unlike his actual self in the games, because the main protagonists in Persona games are usually silent, stoic characters that you choose their options of what they say. So you want them to be assholes, you can make them assholes. You want them to be good people, you make them good people. Mikoto, which is actually the main character's name for this, Mikoto Yuki, is given a kind of midway point where he's neither good nor bad. He's very stoic, and that is my biggest complaint right off the bat. It makes him kind of ruin a lot of the movie's ebb and flow to it, where there are times where our main character will be very, very stoic, and it's like, understood, yeah, okay, whatever. And then there's times where he shows a little bit of more emotion, but it's very rare, and that's my biggest problem because that's what something that Aladona Zero did, which I loved Aladona Zero outside of everything but the main character, who actually ruined all of Aladona Zero for me because of how stoic and just uncaring he is in the show. Our main character does something very similar to this. That's why I'm being honest with you. It knocks a few grade points off. I'm not even lying. Like, this can't be an A. I'll tell you that right now. It's not going to be an A. But there are some other things that are good about this. But I'm going to now talk about what is Persona in case you don't know. So, Persona 3 takes place in a fictional world where our main characters live in Iwadoda City, which is a strange place. Because in this city, and apparently worldwide, they don't know how far because they don't really talk about that too much, but they do say, at least in this area, there's something that exists called the dark hour. It exists between the times of 12 and 1 o'clock in the morning, which is like a secret hidden hour that exists. Now, during that time period, people are transmogrified into giant coffins, and the ones that are not are fed upon and preyed upon by creatures in the night called shadows. Now, shadows are essentially people's personas that have been destroyed and have kind of taken over them and made them into creatures. So right off the bat, shadows are humans, and that's kind of a spoiler per se. I won't lie, that is a bit of a spoiler, but they'll never say that in the actual anime movies, and they only say that in the game. So it's not really per se a big spoiler, but it's kind of interesting that they won't realize this until sometime off later on. But, the ones that do survive the shadow attacks end up becoming like almost zombies in the way of how they work around life. They start having no energy, they have no drive, they just stand still, and they have this thing called apathy syndrome, which is what they get. So the shadow users that can use things called personas, which is what our main character and several others, Yukari, Junpei, Akihiko, Mitsuru, Fuka, and various other characters that will come in, Ken, Konomaru. Yeah, that's how much of a fan I am. Actually, I don't even need to look it up. I just know what they are off the top of my head. They are able to use persona that are actually shadows, but within themselves, that they unleash these persona as weapons. So they could do it as where they use magic like fire. They can use weapons like cleaving attacks and stuff like that. But what I love about that is the animation really works in this for a Persona series. I mean, like, I love the animation. I think that all the animation is really good. I love the art style. I think it's really stellar. I mean, you can see from this image alone, there's some real detail into in these characters. They're giving them dark, moody tone to them, and I love that. I think it's really fitting of the Persona 3 world and overall the Persona universe. Now, sound-wise, I love the soundtrack. It actually is the same thing as the games per se, but remixed to make a movies kind of thing out of it, plus some new beats and new tones. I love it. I think it's awesome. A lot of the voice actors are the same from the Japanese version. I mean, I wish wish they would have had English stuff for that, but I understand it probably would have been a lot of money to do a 2 hour, essentially 8 hour actually movie, because you have four of these movies in total of voice acting. So I understand why they didn't do that. But honestly, there's a lot of stuff to love about this. I just do not like the main character. That's like honestly my only complaint about this whole thing, but he does enough that he ruins the show a little bit. How would you have a main character who has no regard for any of his teammates or anything like that as a leader? I don't understand that. And like in the games it makes sense because he does things that show that he's a good person and caring person, thus why he's a leader. But in this, it's like he does everything not caring. He's like, "Oh, what? Oh, understood. Yeah. Okay, I'll do it." It's like, dude, what? That I don't like how they handle him, and that's one thing that I've noticed in almost all the movies is that he gets better, but he's still a dick in all the movies, and that's probably one of the biggest complaints about this. And like I said before, enough to really kind of nerf the score of this from an A to lower scores. But given everything else works, animation, music is awesome. The art is awesome. The actual story is pretty good. It's actually very, very close to the video games, but with more detail and more stuff into it, which is kind of cool. Plus, plenty of homages to fans who love Persona games like I do. I would have to say, if I reviewed it A through F, I have to give it a solid B. It is not perfect. If you're a fan of Persona, you'll love it. But there are some issues like with the main character and maybe some little story things here and there, but I'm not going to spoil those because they are spoilers. But overall, it's a good show. I love the show. I enjoyed it, and you know what? I can't wait to review the second one because I'll tell you right now, the second one is a little bit better, which is good. Anyways, guys and girls, I will talk to you later. I hope you enjoyed this review. As always, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, share the video, the whole nine. Till our paths cross again in the next review, have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.